Namaste. Today, on the seventh day of Navaratri, we pay tribute to the women warriors of India. Now, these female warriors who have fought bravely against the invaders and other external attackers are not just one or two, they are many in number. However, today, in order to highlight their sacrifice, let us talk about three of these women warriors and pay tribute to their sacrifice. Mata Bhag Kaur. A warrior is not just about bravery and valor, but it is also a story of leadership, and that is what Mata Bhag Kaur, or Mai Bhago as she is referred to, is known for. Her family had a legacy with both her father and grandfather had accompanied Guru Arjan Dev and Guru Har Gobind. Following in their footsteps, Mai Bhago was so good at the battlefield that Guru Gobind Singh made her his bodyguard, fulfilling her life's wish. When Anandpur was under attack, 40 of the Sikh soldiers had asked permission to leave, which the Guru allowed, but asked them to first leave the Khalsa and made them sign a letter of resignation. But when Guru Gobind Singh was pursued by the Mughal forces, Mata Bhag Kaur found the 40 soldiers and asked them to join the forces again and seek for the Guru's forgiveness. They later found the Guru who was being pursued. The men who were being led by Mata Bhag Kaur stopped at Kindrana just as the enemy forces were about to attack. Despite being aware that they were going to face sure death, the 40 men led by Mata Bhag fought without hesitation. Remember that the enemy forces were 1,000 in number while they were only 41 including her. It is said that their attack was so fierce that the enemy was forced to retreat as darkness fell. The Guru had been watching from a nearby hill and assisted them by raining arrows on the enemy. When he did not find any movement among his men after the end of the battlefield, he rode to the battlefield. He found that 40 men had succumbed to their wounds and had died, while only Mata Bhag was still alive but still heavily wounded. It is said that at that time, looking at the men who had died for their motherland and their religion, Guru Gobind Singh tore the letter of their resignation and forgave them. He called them Chali Muktis, who had found mukti by sacrificing themselves for their religion and their land. He then treated Mata Bhag, who became the first woman in the history of Punjab to have fought on a battlefield. After reviving her health, she served as Guru Gobind Singh's bodyguard. After the passing of Guru Gobind Singh, she spent the rest of her life in Nanded immersed in meditation. Rani Avantibai. In the city of Meerut was born one of the greatest warriors from the Indian history, Rani Avantibai of Ramghar. She is the grittiest, not just among women, but all warriors of India. She was married to King Vikramaditya Lodi. She was at a young age taught and trained in sword fighting, in archery, in cavalry, military strategy and diplomacy and other subjects of statecraft. In fact, when her husband fell ill, she took the reins as an able administrator. When her husband died, she made herself the ruler and the kingdom flourished under her. However, the British at this point refused to recognize her as their ruler. When the people of the kingdom had accepted her, who were they to interfere? The British then declared their own administrator to the kingdom's palace. The queen became furious by this and she literally threw the administrator out of the palace and declared an open war against the British. Her next job was to gather the rulers of the nearby kingdom to join her for war. The letter that she sent along with a set of bangles shows the grit she carried. It even rattled the rulers who absolutely could not refuse her call for war. The letter read thus: If you think you have a duty towards our enslaved motherland, raise your swords and jump into war against the British. Otherwise, wear these bangles and hide yourself in your houses. This letter reached far and wide and can be said as the first call for unison to oppose the British rule in India. Thus, in 1857, the entire region had joined the armed rebellion. It is a single woman who was responsible for the regional uprising of regional warriors against the British that continued its momentum into the freedom struggle later on the modern India. Rani Avantibai, herself managed to raise an army of 40,000 men and personally led it. The British troops faced a stunning defeat in the First War, but the British returned for revenge, and this time they burned the Ranghar fort, due to which she had to take refuge. But she had not given up. Using guerrilla warfare, she attacked the British camp, setting the place into utter chaos. But unfortunately, the British had brought with them modern weapons and machinery, and the traditional weapons were no match for it. Upon realizing her defeat, she told her general that the British must never get her alive at any cost and prepared to die. Afterwards, when the general rushed to kill more men, she jumped down from her horse and thrust a sword into her stomach. When the British made her regain temporary consciousness, they asked about her supporters. But the brave queen replied, "This is my war and I alone am responsible for this war." Thus, giving absolutely no information to the British about the upcoming uprising, she shouted "Hari Om" with all her might and took her last breath. Not all warriors are queens and army generals. There are also some common people who recognize their duty to resist the invaders and protect their motherland. One such example is Obbavana. The story is such that she was the wife of a watchtower guard named Hanuman. When her husband once had gone home to have his lunch, he asked for some water. Obbava thus came outside to fetch some water in a pot. The pot was near a hill which had a small hole entrance through which men could enter quietly one by one into the kingdom's fort. The troops of Hyder Ali had found this entrance and had planned a siege of the fort through infiltration from here. When Obbava saw the enemy trying to enter, she became furious. Without even a second's hesitation, she picked up a onaka or a pestle and hit the army soldier on the head continuously, killing him. Anticipating that more soldiers would eventually try to enter, she hid the dead body and waited patiently behind the cave. True to her suspicion, when another soldier entered, she killed him with the pestle too. It is said that this way, one by one, she killed at least 100 of the enemy men. When her worried husband came looking for her, he was surprised to find his wife covered in blood with a pestle and a heap of enemy body nearby. He quickly ran to the fort and alerted the enemy attack. Obbava is thus an example of the women folk of India. Their grit and their bravery, and is still date, is considered the epitome of Indian feminine power, and there are folklores and poems that were being sung about her and her bravery. Thus, today we pay tribute to the sacrifice and the bravery of these women warriors of India. They have shown us that no profession or gender must come in the way of performing one's dharma, one's duty, and to protect one's motherland.
On the 7th day of Navratri, we worship goddess Kalayatri. Kalayatri in Sanskrit means the one who brings death and darkness. Ma Kalayatri rides a donkey and wears a garland of skulls around her neck. Her complexion is described to be dark black. She is shown to have 4 hands, her right hands being in Abhaya and Varada mudras, while her left hands carry a sword and a deadly iron rook. Being the destroyer of all evil and negative energies, she is the fiercest and most violent avatar of Ma Durga.